Welcome to Lala and Olga Show,
where we share the tales of real estate.
Yes, and today we have Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello,
Hi,
good
Sam.
morning.
My good buddy, Sam Estrada, has been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
You can see the grays.
Yes, and he looks like a model. When I met you, Sam, I thought you used to be a model. You're so handsome and the hair is just perfect. I was like, that's my kind of guy, you know?
Ooh.
Maybe in a past life there was a Hollywood experience somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know. There was something. I like beauty, you know? Okay, handsome.
Well,
handsome.
Okay, thank you. I'm
On a more
embarrassed.
serious note, I want to know, Sam, what got you to real estate? How long you been in it? And what had you done prior to that?
I was licensed in 2010. That's where you and I met at the
Yes.
at the other brokerage. My very first job, I was an art director at an ad agency.
Did you say art?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like what art?
Commercial art.
Okay.
Commercial art at an ad agency. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a different world back then. You ever seen Mad Men, that series? That's what it was. That's what
Oh,
it was
no
like.
way. That's so cool.
That's exactly what it was like. I got kind of to the top of the pyramid with that agency, and I wanted to I either was going to have to move to LA or somewhere else, and I didn't want to move. This is my hometown.
That would be my dream come true. Going to LA. So where was that? You
That was
said
here in
it-
Phoenix.
Okay,
It was here in Phoenix.
So you native?
I was there yes, I was born and raised here. Love this town. It was completely different when I was back. Like I was telling, we had probably 150,000 people for the whole time I was born till high school. It was a small town.
Wow.
It really
Isn't that
didn't.
amazing?
It really didn't explode until, guess what? The advent of air conditioning.
So in the
Exactly.
70s, right?
Yeah, that's when it.
That
That's when
makes
it blew
sense.
up. That's when it blew up. It was a very small town. My dad used to tell a story when he was around that he was born the same year Arizona became a state, 1912.
Okay.
And his first job, he was a delivery boy for Western Union, delivered telegrams around the city, and he could
Wow.
cover the entire city of Phoenix on a bicycle.
I believe it.
And on a bicycle.
It went
I
from
believe
7th
it.
Avenue to 7th Street. It went from the Indian School to the tracks. That was everything else was dirt roads.
Wow.
So
This is why when we have people move into town, I love sharing this story because they always are so amazed how expensive
Yeah.
Arcadia and Central Corridor is. And I tried to tell them back in the day they had swamp coolers, right?
Yeah.
So the city was so small. And then in
Right.
70s when air conditioning was, everything just started
exploded.
spreading out and exploding. But that original heart of Phoenix, it's always going to be high in demand.
yeah. When I first was growing up, we grew up in South Phoenix, and my dad got a better house, 30th Street and Bellevue, south of McDowell.
Nice.
And he
Uh-huh.
bought that house through the GI Bill for $7,700.
That
Wow,
is so cool.
amazing.
But it was just a house. It wasn't there was nothing. There wasn't a driveway. There wasn't a fence. There was not.
Just
So
the
we
house.
added everything on. And as it grew, as the neighborhood grew, my grandmother used to live with us, and so we spoke Spanish in the home.
Yeah, I forget you speak Spanish.
Yeah.
This is a European talking over
I
here.
know, so
I know.
She
judgmental.
thinks you're a GQ model. You don't speak Spanish.
I'm like, hello, it's the
I don't
hair.
think she had her coffee
It's
today.
the hair.
I'm very fascinated by this history piece of Phoenix. So you grew up very close to Arcadia.
Yes.
And then what have you seen over the years, Sam? The way the valley grew and the city has expanded.
It is the next explosion. I was telling Benji when I first got into real estate, all the clients came from back east, Chicago, New York, and now it's all from the west,
West.
California, Oregon. They're all coming this way. So Phoenix is, they say that Paradise Valley is going to be the next Beverly Hills of the country.
It already
Absolutely.
is.
I
So-
feel like it is.
So,
I mean, it already is. Look at our partner Shelby. She just
Yep,
sold a
that's
$21
right.
million house.
That's
if
right.
somebody told me that even back in 08, I'd be like, there's no way.
There is
Yep.
no 20 million homes.
Oh, yeah. There
But
is
there
now.
are now. Absolutely.
So I was, like I said, I was in an art director, and I wanted to get into something else, but I love relationship sales, and I couldn't figure out which way to jump. And I used to ride Harleys with a bunch of friends, and one of the friends owned a real estate agency, and we were talking. And I was working for a printing company after that in sales also. Became very successful because the owner was my mentor, my pal, my friend that taught me sell value first, do not sell product. And so I kind of used that, became salesman of the year a couple of times there. And unfortunately, he passed away from cancer, and the company just took a different direction. So that's when I started looking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I started my own little print brokering company. Did that for a few years. Took the biggest customer, my client at Blue Cross. I was really apprehensive about asking him, would you consider if I started my own company? He goes, what took you so long?
Oh, wow.
Love that.
So I did that for 7 years, and it was very successful, but the computer took a big chunk out of the printing industry.
Oh, yes.
Because, you could go home and print most of your stuff off your home computer. You didn't have to go to a printer. Well, margins started getting pretty
Tight.
thin,
Mm-hmm.
and I was wondering what I was going to do next. And as I said, I loved relationship sales, and that was beginning to be, everything was email. I'm a very old school guy. I love old school sales. My mentor Jerry used to say, if you don't have 5 lunches on your expense report every week, I want to know why. That's how we build a business.
I love that.
Because he said, if people trust and like you, you will do business. If they
That is
don't,
true.
they won't.
You know, my favorite thing you said was the guy that taught you it's not about sales, it's about pouring value.
Right.
And that's where I see any really good salesperson is, this is not about sales. It's like this human being is coming to you
Absolutely.
because they need a problem solved.
Right.
And you're the expert that's going to guide them. So you're there to pour value. At the end of the day, I've never seen any sales jobs as sales because it's like, you're walking through the door. What do you need? Let me help you.
Yep.
And it's funny how reluctant we are a lot of times when we have been asked, hey, can I help you? You immediately reaction is like, no. You go in department
Right.
stores. Do you need any help? No, I'm
Leave
looking.
me alone.
It's funny how we've been trained mainly because probably there's been a lot of telemarketing calls, door
Right.
knocking. So you immediately like not another salesperson, but truly a good salesperson is just there to help,
Right.
bring value. What do you need? Let me help you solve. I love that. I love that part of it.
That's what he taught me, and it was. Well, let me give you an example. We went to California to an agency that was a big agency. They were handling Apple and a bunch of big clients, and so we found out who the buyer was, and we made an appointment. And we went up there, and on the plane, his name was Jerry, my boss. I said, "So did you bring the equipment list? Did you bring the samples?" He said, "I didn't bring anything." I said, "What?"
Yeah.
He says, "I'm going to teach you something today." Okay, so we get to the office, meet the guy, do our not a presentation, but our introductions. And we're about halfway through it, and he says to this guy, I want to tell you something. I don't really care about your company. What did you just say?
I don't know if it's good or bad.
He says, I care about you. He says, if I can
Smart
make your
guy.
job easier, if I can make your boss like you a lot more because you're doing a great job, would that be of interest? Well, what's he going to say, of course?
Yeah.
Of course.
So he said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Back then it was a different process. It's all digital now. But he says, I want you to give me the toughest job you've had in 6 months. Give me the negatives, give me whatever. I'm going to take it back to Phoenix. I'm going to print it for you at no cost. I'm going to bring it back to you. And if it's not better than what you're getting, we'll part friends. If it is better, I want to have some of
I
your
love
business.
that.
That's so
And he did. And everywhere we went, that's the way he worked.
Wow.
And he was an amazing guy. I mean, I really miss him because he treated the truck drivers the same as bank presidents. That's why he was
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
And
Should treat everybody with fair chance.
And
with
never
the
charge
respect.
them.
Encouragement, right?
Yep.
So,
So,
what made you get into real estate then?
Well, so I borrowed that concept, and a friend of mine, like I said, we were having
Harley's.
drinks, and he said, "So what do you do?" And I told him, I've got a little print business, but it's getting hard. The margins are really tough. He says, "You ever thought about real estate?" Little did I know he owned an agency, a brokerage, and I said, I thought about it, but I'm really fascinated by it, but I don't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Sam, everywhere we go, everybody loves you. That's sales. I can't teach you
You
that.
can sell anything.
I can teach you real estate. Go get your license." And I did, and I haven't looked back since.
So I love the part where he says, I can't teach you sales because it's really, you either have passion to help people or you
No,
don't.
you
Yeah.
don't.
And if you're in it just for the number, it's gonna show.
Yep.
So to me, again, when I see you at your job, it's always about that task. Like Olga needs to get a house. Okay, how are we gonna help Olga and her family? It's about Olga.
Yep.
And that's why you do so well.
That's and that just comes like second nature because that's the way I was taught.
Right.
And I use a method that he taught me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. It's called the Ford method. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of
I've
it.
heard
So
about it, but-
go ahead
So
and share.
so when we sit down with a new client, I don't talk about what kind of house you're looking for or none of that. We talk about them as a person. F is for family. So like how many children you have, where blah 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 blah. O is for occupation. What kind of work do you do? Do you enjoy it? You've been doing it a long time, blah, blah, blah. R is for recreation. What do you do for fun? And that's when they really open up. I like to go fishing. I like to whatever. And then the last one is dreams. If everything was a perfect world, what's your dream house look like?
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
so we talk about that first, and then we start talking about, okay, here's what I can do for you.
Right.
Here's what I found
I
for
love
you.
that.
So that is always my priority. It's not about the house. It's not
It's
about,
about people.
yeah, it's about a person.
That is true. So Sam, tell us something crazy that happened to you during the real estate job.
It's not a big deal, but I was showing homes to a client. We went in the house and everything looked fine until I looked in the backyard. There's about 100 chickens back there.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Was there an HOA?
They were all over the yard. I went, maybe we should look at something.
What part of town was this? Now I'm curious.
Yeah, out in West Phoenix.
Okay.
But just recently I had 3 clients asking me if they can have chickens.
Yep.
So was that recently or some
No,
time
it was
ago?
maybe about a year ago.
I guess the chickens are in now. They're very trendy.
Well, I do like
Social
eggs,
media.
but the maintenance, I'd rather buy them in the store.
And the smell is not the best.
What most people don't know, even if you don't have a homeowners association, there is CC&Rs in place. And even if you don't have CC&Rs, which are covenants, there's city ordinance.
Right.
So there's a limit to livestock for
But
sure.
my neighbor
Right.
has
So
chickens.
100, I think that's a little over excessive, but
That's
good
like a
story.
production.
I'm always fascinated with how amazing people we have come to our group.
Yep.
I want to know what made you join our group, and
You.
how is you're so
You.
sweet, and how has that changed your life?
Well, you and I go back 16 years,
Sure.
and I hadn't seen Lala for a decade, maybe longer. And we ran into each other at the Tom Ferry function.
Yes.
And
Shout out to Tom Ferry.
Next week.
and she was asking me, and at that time I had just left Remax and went with a startup company that a friend of mine's son had started. Very small, it's like 12 people. I was disappointed with the way things were going there. And what does Lala ask? Are you happy where you're at?
Are you
Well,
happy?
I wanted to know about my buddy.
I know. And knowing Lala, I mean, I think the world of her. She's not only a good leader, she's not only a good realtor, she's a
person.
wonderful person,
Yep.
a great person.
And
And
it-
that's the kind of leadership that I wanted to get involved with. I'm so glad that I did because it's been a good ride, and I know it's going to be an even better ride.
Absolutely, and I think for us it's beyond work.
Yes.
It's about having that family because let's face it, we have so many hard days in this business where people
Real
are taking
estate's not
all,
for sissies.
Yes,
No.
we're taking all that heat and anger on us, and then we walk into the office, see each other, it makes it a much
But
better.
it's
Right.
funny because I didn't know I needed it until I experienced that. So
Yeah.
some people, they think they can do this by themselves. They can be solo agent and mind their own business. You don't know what you don't know. So I thought I was okay. I worked for, I was at the small brokerage and everyone's like, oh, you have this family feel to it. No, I didn't feel nothing. There was nobody there. Nobody was around. And you just don't know that you need that
Yeah.
tribe, would you call it, community, whatever, family. And it really changes your mindset. And I feel like that's what we have.
My best clients over the years have been my support system because they also help me get new clients. I just went to a party on a client. This is kind of a strange story, but not strange. But I met these people at Troon at an open house. They came here because their son was going to be starting ASU. They wanted to look at houses. It was a beautiful house. It looked like a ski resort. But anyway, they said, this is not for us. They're from Wisconsin. And so they went back. But every birthday, I would send him, her, and their 2 kids something.
Wow.
And we did this for 2 years. I didn't find this out till the party the other night. But her husband, Dale, says, I got a story to tell you. I went, uh-oh. He says, when we finally got ready to buy a home in Arizona, we wanted to get a hold of you. And she couldn't find her number. And she was freaking out.
Okay.
And he says, Sam will call you next week. It's your birthday. Don't worry about it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
We
from
need
that-
to put your number now under
That's
this.
what makes you special, Sam.
Well, they came and looked. Well, the first house we looked at, which is really too big for them, but we ended up sending a house in the Desert Highlands for over $1 million, and it was just a beautiful house.
Yeah.
And now she's been there maybe a year and a half, and they invited me. She says, I miss you so much,
Aw.
because we're both involved in church.
Sure.
And she says, you know, you got to. We're going to have a few people come over, neighbors come over for drinks and dinner. Would you like to? Oh, of course. Thank you. Wow, that's
I
great.
love that.
Talking about creating relationships.
Well,
Yes.
and what really was when we were finally there and having our dinner and all that, her husband comes over to me. She says, "Did you meet Dave?" And I said, "Yeah, he's the guy who lives across the street." Well, Dave's son is coming this summer to buy a house.
And guess what?
Guess what? I know a good realtor.
Hey.
I love that. That's how you know you're good, when you get those referrals.
Yeah.
So to close it out, what is a piece of advice you would give to the young ones that are about to start in real estate? Anything.
Well, I actually have done that with Damon
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Damon.
because we were talking about that the other day, and
He's
you know what's
one of our youngest members.
yeah,
You know, of our team.
he's sharp though.
He's so
he
sharp.
is very sharp, and we talked about not getting too involved with the mechanics. Get involved with the person
Yes.
first, the person, and then the mechanics. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Sam, thank you
I
so
love
much.
this. I learned so much about you.
Oh, how much
I
we
didn't
love you.
know that you're from Phoenix and you remember back in the day. I
Yeah.
love it. We need to talk more about that.
The
Okay.
history piece is
History.
fascinating.
I love history.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
All right.